All right, what's the deal, family? We back one more time. The folks at Google Hangouts trying to stop us, but you can't stop knowledge from getting to the masses. And that's how we do it. This is the Starting Five, and I'm joined by the full complement this time of the Four Horsemen. I'm your gracious host, Mr. Lane Fobbs, former TV sports anchor, and I'm joined by Marcus Griffin.
We'll go down.
The big homie, DeMarcus Brodin. What's up?
What's going on, my man?
Timothy Shealy with the Houston Rockets avatar.
What's happening, baby?
Doing good. And, of course, we can't forget about Andrew Holly. What's up?
How's everybody doing?
Doing good, my brothers. Now, but before we get into talking about some of the Rockets game too, we'll break that down among other things. But this is what I saw today. Monty Williams, you know, the New Orleans coach, our brother Monty Williams, who saved his job on the last day of the regular season, got the Pelicans in there to the playoffs. They're facing the Warriors. Now, you know, Oracle Arena out there in Oakland is one of the better home court advantages in the NBA. And Monty Williams, the coach of the Pelicans, he said that the arena was too loud. He said that there have actually been studies, and it's shown that it's actually against league rules for the Warriors to have it that loud in their building. I've never heard of a stadium that was too loud. I've never heard of that being a problem. And so for you guys, is this just more reason that the Pelicans are going to lose this series?
I mean, definitely, especially when you're looking for almost an excuse as to why you can't run your sets and you can't communicate with your team. You're supposed to be communicating with your team in practice. That way you don't have to worry about the crowd getting to you. This only shows that he's not a veteran when it comes to being a coach, and he still has a lot to learn. Even when he was with San Antonio as an intern, it's a reason why they didn't keep him around. If he was a good basketball mind, he'd still be in San Antonio. But it has to be disappointing as far as Greg Popovich is concerned to see one of his people that he mentored use the excuse as the arena being too loud in a playoff atmosphere, which you expect it to be loud at the Oracle Arena. They went 39-2, for Christ's sake.
I mean, if you're going to use an excuse, you should have used a better excuse than that. That was poor. I don't understand what he was thinking with that one. Especially you have another game there. You know, it's not like he said that and they were going back to New Orleans. Now you have to go back, and what do you think those fans are going to do? They were out game one. They're going to bring it to you game two.
True.
And this isn't their first playoff game in the last 3 years. The Warriors have been in the playoffs, and nobody else can do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a poor excuse.
Anthony Davis had a spin on it. He said that he thought it was pretty. He said it was hard to hear, you know, his teammates call out plays, but he said he kind of enjoyed it. He said what it does is it adds fuel to the fire that you want to shut the crowd up. So I mean, they can attack it from that standpoint or whatnot. But I thought it was crazy too. You hear people left and right complaining about the Seahawks Stadium, but they keep on playing. NFL don't never do that.
Right, and Atlanta just recently got caught with pumping music into their stadium. I think that'll be kind of hard for a basketball arena, though. I mean, it's a closed arena, and I think in the 70s the Warriors facility was built, and it built with concrete paddings for a reason. That way that it bounce around like they're in a concert atmosphere. So, I mean, this playoff basketball, what you expect? They're gonna be loud. They're gonna be pumping. They're the first seed in the West, so they have good reason to cheer for their team.
And now, DeMarcus, I like what you said, man. Being a former a Spurs assistant like he is, he's been through some playoff battles.
Right,
and that's
right.
what really
So
disappointed
he knows
me.
exactly what it's supposed to feel like, and to openly complain about that after game one, that's sad.
And to me, that's why I don't think they even stand a chance in this series, because everything that they say, you know, Anthony Davis saying they were nervous after game one, during game one, all of that, it doesn't bode well for them. I think this is a sweep. What do you think? What do the Four Horsemen think about that?
I think the Warriors. I mean, not the Warriors. The Pelicans have enough talent to get at least 2 games, but from what I don't give them no love.
Nah.
It's hard to say now with Drew Holiday out and Tyreek Evans got hurt, and he was going to be the key component to the whole series with his points in the paint. But I mean, it's Anthony Davis or nothing, and he can't put up 35 points every night and expect to be the leading contributor, the only contributor, while Eric Gordon and everybody else just running around doing nothing. Anthony Davis cannot do it all on his own.
Because for them to win 2 games, that's basically saying that they're gonna win one in the Warriors.
I'll give them one in New Orleans only because that atmosphere should be crazy also.
See, I thought they were going to get 2 games for the simple fact is they had everybody healthy. That's what I had 2 games before Tyreek Evans ended up getting hurt.
Right. Same here.
They played like all around their ball play. But Ryan Anderson, when he going out there missing threes, I mean, can't win with that.
Yeah, and that's going to be their best lineup. The best lineup is sitting down Ashik and having Anthony Davis work the 5. He clearly had a mismatch, but Ryan Anderson has to hit those threes for that lineup to be very effective. His points coming from the 3-point line would be the difference between the Pelicans winning by 1 or losing by 7.
Okay. And now, Anthony Davis, Pelicans, they do play later on tonight as we're recording, as we speak. Now, he's in the conversation for an end-of-season award, although he won't win it. He's in the conversation for the MVP award. But let's start with some of these other awards, though, man, that were handed out. Lou Williams of the, not Atlanta Hawks, he used to be there, but Lou Williams of the Raptors was named your 6th man. Thoughts?
Booming down the 6 like Lou Will.
Lou Will.
It's just a big year for him, finally understanding, and I think it was just a coach decision that he's not a starter, and he's better off coming off the bench, and you see it. You see what happens when he comes against the second guys, and being that change of pace, and he just finally got in his position, finally got in his NBA role, and maybe somewhere down the line he could be an NBA starter, but for the Raptors right now, he best fits as coming off with that second lineup.
Exactly.
So I think it was well deserved.
Lou came off the bench to lead the Raptors in scoring a crazy amount of times, 17 times to be exact, and he upped his scoring average from last year. And this is also coming off an injury to where the Hawks felt that he just wasn't a needed presence on their bench, and they're still an outstanding team. But your hats off has to go to Lou Williams, because without his scoring come off that bench at almost 17 points a night, the Raptors wouldn't even be the 4th seed.
Yeah, a year removed from the ACL. Last year, he was somewhat of a shell of himself. I don't think he was really comfortable on the floor. He wasn't really comfortable doing what he was doing. But a year removed from that injury, this is the Lou Will that you can expect to see. I mean, this is what he does. He comes in, he gets points for your bench, he provides for your team.
Exactly.
Well, him and go ahead.
Well, it helped too that when DeRozan ended up getting hurt, he had to fill in that void for DeRozan. So he got that, that taste of playing more minutes and being more dependent on. So I guess that was good for his career. Hopefully he can keep it up.
Yes, definitely. Only being 28 years of age, he still has a few more years before he actually peaks. But he's going to have to cash in on his next contract, because as you get deeper in age, those contracts come less and less.
Exactly. Well, for right now, him and his 2 girlfriends get to celebrate out there in Toronto, man. Him and the Weeknd, Party Next Door. Huh?
I forgot he got 2 girlfriends. He winning in life.
Yeah, he is, man. They go on dates together, all 3 of them, man.
No wonder why he was 6 man. I come out 17 points too.
Man, let's take a look at most improved player. Most improved player, I would go with Jimmy Butler if it was me. But let me ask the panel, who is your MIP?
I got a few on there.
I think it should go to Jimmy Butler, just for the simple fact that he has been the star for the Bulls. He has been the most consistent player for the Bulls. Next to him and Paul Gasol, that's who's been carrying the Bulls all year round. Noah's been hurt, and they needed somebody to score. They needed a scoring option. Paul Gasol was brought to be a score option, but they needed a wing player, and Jimmy Butler is a rising star right now.
Yeah,
he may not be a superstar or have that star status stamp, but he's a rising star, and he could be 1 year away from being that player.
Open his points, 7 points. I mean, a first-time All-Star. And finally, Derrick Rose has somebody in that backcourt to help him out, man. This has been a long time coming for Derrick Rose to finally get a backcourt mate that he doesn't have to go out there and try and be the MVP Rose again. He has somebody that he can lean on that's going to score. And Jimmy plays both sides of the floor, which is very, very, very rare nowadays to have somebody that's going to do both.
Exactly. You probably have to go all out and say Jimmy Butler is the best second overall player in the East behind LeBron James. You have to go that far. I mean, he jumped up his PER from 13 to 21. His plus minus increased from 3.13 to 3.46, and his win shares increased to 10.9 from 7.1 last season. So overall, he's improved from top to bottom. He made the All-Star team. I just don't see anybody that deserves that award other than Jimmy Butler.
All right, man. Let's jump quickly to Defensive Player of the Year. Now, you know I went to Texas A&M. I got to go with the big homie DeAndre Jordan. Do we agree?
I'm gonna go with Draymond Green. I like DeAndre Jordan. Just to your point, huge steps this year, both offensively. His defense has always been exceptional. He's always been a great defensive player just because he's so much more athletic than everybody. And his offense is just matching that. So he just improved overall as a player. But this year, Draymond Green is the next. He's one of the players for the Warriors and a few players in the NBA that, like LeBron, can almost guard 1 through 5. Draymond Green can pretty much stay in front of anybody 2 through 5. He went from holding Anthony Davis to Tyreke Evans to everybody, and he does that night in and night out. Yeah, he consistently goes on people's best player. He's very active, steals, blocks, rebounds, defensive rebounds, and he's just so active. And I really think this was a good year for him. And you know, like I said, it's not a lot of players who can guard 1 through 5 or guard multiple positions, and he does that very well. He does that, just as good as anybody. And so I feel like this year was a good year for him.
And that's true, but you just had to give your hats off to DeAndre Jordan. I mean, other than him, he's really the only true rim protector on that team because Blake Griffin's always outside the paint trying to make plays, so they pretty much leave it up to him to own the paint. And they still took the same amount of shots the opponents did, whether he was in the game or out the game, at 33% at the rim. He only allowed 49.9% shots made at the rim. And that's one of the lowest in Clippers history. And on and off the court, the team percentage will go down from almost 10 points when he's out the game. So he does have a tremendous effect on the game, especially what the Clippers like to do, being the second offensive team in the West. I mean, you just have to give a few votes to DeAndre, but definitely Draymond Green with his versatility. He's very aware that he's a candidate for this award.
Then you got to give a little bit of love to Kawhi Leonard. After that, him coming back, he started leading the league in steals, and then he just changed the atmosphere. How the Spurs were playing all around. They were putting Kawhi. They were depending more on him on offense and on the defensive end. And I like how his style of play was. If he was healthy all year, I would have gave it to him.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that comes into it is health and how many games you missed. I mean, only playing 67 games, that's pretty much taking him out of all races for awards, if you ask me.
Exactly, man. Let's check it out. Rookie of the Year. Now, this is an interesting award because at the beginning of the year, we would have all said the big homie Jabari Parker out of Duke. Shout out to the boys in Durham that I know listen in. But obviously, Andrew Wiggins just came back. But let's see about Nerlens Noel. I feel like we all agree that Andrew Wiggins is going to take that award home. But
I'm almost glad that you mentioned him because that was actually going to be one of my favorites because after the All-Star break, you have to look at these numbers that he posted. 13 points, 10 rebounds a game, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 2 assists, while only averaging 3 fouls and 2 turnovers, shooting 48%. And he was third as far as rookies are concerned in PER, only behind Mirotic and Jordan Clarkson. So you have to really give him the credit that he's done, especially on the team he's on the 76ers. Oh my God.
Where winning is like saying a 4-letter word, basically.
Winning, you're traded.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, he pretty much had a star season after the All-Star break, and when him in the game, they only allowed 100 points per 100 possessions per 100 possessions this season.
Which means they're gonna sit him down all next year.
Oh yeah.
But it would be nice to see what him and Embiid can do together. I mean, like everybody says, we all know Wiggins is going away with the award. Somebody I like that I think had a nice rookie season was Chicago Bulls, Nikola Mirotic. I think he had a pretty good season. I mean, it wasn't amazing, it wasn't outstanding, but he stepped up when he needed to. When Rose went out, when Butler went out, he was able to provide some offense for the team. He pretty much had a nice second half of the season. I mean, like I say, it wasn't amazing, but to me, it impressed me.
Well, I want to ask you guys this. 5 years down the road, Jabari Parker, Wiggins, Noel, Mirotic, Zach LaVine, Clarkson. Give me the name that we're gonna talk about 5 years from now when it's 2020 out of those rookies.
Wiggins, man, the way I just thought about that the other day where I was listening to Sports Talk Radio. They were talking about how amazing the Cavs would be if they didn't have Love and have Wiggins. Because I like how he stretches the floor and how that energy he brings. Because there's not a lot I like to look at on the Timberwolves, but the way he plays and the way his energy on the court is pretty nice. And I just would love to see how he would have looked with LeBron on that team and developing with Cleveland.
Definitely. I mean, when he played the Rockets this season, he was tough. He didn't hold back from James Harden. He did not back down, and he guarded him tough. He even blocked James Harden a few times and took away on a transition dunk earlier in the season. So we are very aware that Andrew Wiggins is going to be the future of the league pretty soon. Probably sooner than we expect. He should be able to blossom about the same rate as Kevin Durant did. About 3 years he'll be up there top 5 in scoring, and then he'll probably take off from there. I mean, he's a 6'8" wingman who's a two-way player. So,
go ahead.
Hard to look for too.
Yeah, when Kobe Bryant compares you to himself when Kobe says that he's a young version of me, that means something, man.
That means a lot.
Yeah. Now let's look at Coach of the Year, man. Coach of the Year, and I think it's pretty interesting, man. You got Monty Williams. Now we got on him at the beginning of the show, but he did guide what was a very injury-riddled season for the Pelicans. He did guide them to the 8th seed. Now, granted, the team ahead of them, the Thunder, were hurt. The Suns did some stupid shit, got rid of a bunch of players.
It took a lot.
Yeah. We also got Steve Kerr. We know what he's doing. Warriors #1 seed. And also Budenholzer out there in Atlanta. Just to the south of me, pretty much San Antonio Spurs East. Who is your Coach of the Year?
And don't forget about Brad Stevenson,
Brett, yes.
Coach Celtics, because I honestly didn't think the Celtics was going to make it to the playoffs, and just, they're under 500. There's no one I could name, any name value on that team, but the way they play together, I like how they play. And then you got to give a shout out to little Kevin McHale. He's not the greatest coach in my opinion. What he did with the Rockets, they expected the Rockets to be the 8th seed, or from the outside looking the playoffs, and they thought that you get 5 this year, and finishing end of the division and capturing that #2 seed. I give him a nice little nod,
it's easy to give Kevin McHale a nod, but you also got to realize he had an MVP candidate on his hands. Just to go back to Brad Stevens, this is a guy that took a Butler team to 2 straight Final Fours, won 15 more games in the Eastern Conference that is already weak, but he did it without having a true rim protector. He got his team to buy in, and he's probably one of the best play callers in the NBA, and he was 6th in after timeout efficiency. So he was one of the best when it came to drawing up plays, only behind the likes of Greg Popovich, Doc Rivers, and Mike Budenholzer.
26-11, the Celtics were after All-Star break. Second hottest team in the East.
Yes, they in the Cavs
going into the playoffs.
In the era of tanking, that team pretty much came out and showed what they had. They played with heart, unlike how we were talking about the 76ers. This team came out and competed. When they every reason to tank. Nobody thought they would make the playoffs. They came out and, you know what I'm saying, they showed some fortitude. And that's very impressive. Also, Jason Kidd, man. I mean, look, Bucks from 15 games to 41. I mean, 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. I got to give Jason Kidd some love as far as coach of the year as well.
Without that first round pick.
And losing Larry Sanders.
Yeah.
You can't stress that enough. That was one of the best interior big men in the league.
So if you all had to vote for somebody right now, who are you going with?
I'm going
I
with
love
Brad.
Steve Kerr.
LeBron James.
I'm going with Brad.
Hey, LeBron
LeBron
does call
James
the
is pretty
plays.
much the coach there.
LeBron James of the year.
Well, he's not going to win the MVP, so maybe they should give him the coach of the year just to say it's the 5th time since he's been in the league. 6 really. They've given him an award. But
Myron's MVP, coach of the year, defensive player of the year. He just sweeps it all.
there you go.
And Steve, I give you Steve Kerr. For a first-year coach, you know, that's pretty impressive what he did with the Warriors. I can't deny that.
Look what he adopted, man. It's like being a stepdad and you just bring in Michael Jordan and LeBron James as 2 brothers. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, what about we've touched on this earlier, but just real quick, I just want names because I want to move on to NFL. MVP, go.
James Harden. You got to give love to Anthony Davis. What he's done this year, good Lord. He was averaging 24 points. What are they saying? Like 10 rebounds, averaging like 3 blocks a game, shooting like 54%. That's pretty impressive. And carrying his team to the AC. That's just impressive in my book. And he can run the floor, man. He can run the floor better than any big man I've ever seen.
That's true, man. I mean, you already know I just don't want to get too biased on my opinion. You know, I'm real high on Harden. I mean, just everything that he had to go through, leading his team, being a facilitator, being a scorer. One night he'll drop a triple-double. The next night he's going to drop 50. And, you know, just going to the Rockets game, like I seen how he leads the team and the small things, you know, giving people high fives after bad passes or just talking to his team, being more of a leader. You didn't see this out of James Harden when he first came to Houston a few years ago. He was still trying to find himself in a role, and to just see the way that James Harden evolved from being a 6th man of the year to now being an MVP candidate, he really did take on all the pressure, even after having a bad series in Portland. Anybody could have flopped, but he continued to work hard. He went to Team USA. He won a gold medal, and he pretty much learned how to play team defense along with Steph Curry, which is why they are the top 2 contenders for the MVP of the NBA.
If you can give out a coach MVP, I would give it to you.
Right now, I have Steph Curry as my MVP. You know, I know what everybody says about how great his team is, and that's true. It really is on a great team. But you know, at the end of the day, he runs the team. He runs the team. He's the reason the team gets going. And one thing that, you know, really not mentioning like that is that they've been the number 1 seed for a long time. And on top of that is they've been getting everybody's best shot all year. Because if you beat the Warriors, you're going to make a big news. Especially you getting everybody's best shot. Everybody's trying to take you down at home. Has an outstanding home record. So I just feel like they did everything they're supposed to do consistently. Taking everybody's best shot, and you know, at the end of the night, you look at the box score. You know, he's been the driving force every game in and game out, and he's done it against everybody. So I just feel like that's more than deserving for an MVP candidate. Like I said, to me, honestly, it can only go to 2 people, and it could go anywhere, either way, as a coin flip.
I think
No, it's fair to make the argument for Steph because there's not many point guards that can make you think that Chris Paul is second in his position.
Exactly.
And there's not many point guards that can make Chris Paul do the twister.
Oh, yeah.
He did the Fat Joe lean back.
He sure did. And the pause.
Ooh.